The chamber of the Galactic Council was a place of power. Massive pillars of silver reached high into the ceiling, glowing with quiet blue light. Around the round table, the leaders of hundreds of alien civilizations sat on their thrones. They were the rulers of the galaxy, the oldest and most powerful races who believed nothing could surprise them. But today they were irritated. A message had arrived. A message from a small, unimportant planet called Earth. The Council did not meet for every message they received. Most requests from young species were thrown into archives without a second glance. But this one was different. The humans had not sent a simple request. They had sent a demand to speak directly with the Council. And the message was sent not once, not twice, but again and again, until ignoring it became impossible. The High Speaker of the Council, a tall insect-like creature with shining green eyes, tapped one of his claws on the table. "Who are these humans?" he asked, his voice sharp. The archivist, a small alien with glowing yellow skin, checked the records. A young race, not even 1,000 years of space travel. Their ships are basic. Their technology is ordinary. Their world is rich, yes, but they are nothing compared to us. The chamber filled with laughter. "Then why are we wasting our time?" asked another counselor, a creature with long tendrils that waved in the air like smoke. "Throw the message away. They do not deserve this chamber." But the archivist frowned. "It is strange. They did not ask for our protection. They did not beg for trade. They asked for a seat at the table. A seat here, among us." The laughter grew louder. A giant reptilian alien with golden scales slammed his tail against the ground. "A seat among us? Have they gone mad? Even powerful empires wait centuries for such honor. And this little species dares to ask? No, they demand? Absurd." Yet before the High Speaker could close the matter, the chamber shifted. The lights dimmed. A soft hum filled the air. The message was being played. At once, the voices in the chamber fell silent. The hologram shimmered in the center of the table. A figure appeared, human in form. Tall, straight-backed, wearing no crown or armor, just simple black clothes. His face was calm, his eyes sharp, and his voice. His voice carried across the chamber like thunder hidden inside a whisper. "Galactic Council," the man began. His tone was not proud, not fearful, but steady. "I speak for humanity. We come not as beggars, not as servants, but as equals. We request entry into the Council. The time has come for humanity to take its place among the stars." The chamber buzzed with shock. Such words were rarely spoken by young races. Most crawled into the galaxy begging for mercy, begging for crumbs of trade, begging for recognition. But this man did not beg. He declared. The reptilian alien roared in laughter. "Do you hear them? Do you hear this child? He thinks his people are equal to us." Another alien hissed. "Arrogance. Pure arrogance." But still, a few stayed quiet, because while the words were bold, it was not the words that bothered them. It was the voice. There was something in it. Something heavy. Something dangerous. The kind of weight that comes only from experience, from survival, from history written in blood. The hologram continued. "Perhaps you think us weak. Perhaps you think we are too young. But you are wrong. Humanity is ready. We have fought to reach this place. We have suffered to build what we now hold. We do not ask for pity. We ask for recognition." The chamber filled with voices again. Mocking, dismissive, annoyed. "They know nothing of real war. They are insects compared to us. They will destroy themselves long before they matter." The High Speaker raised a claw, and silence returned. "We will not waste time. Humanity's request is denied. Let this be recorded." But the hologram had not finished. The human leaned forward. His eyes seemed to stare directly into every counselor, as if he could see through their masks, their strength, their lies. "I warn you," he said quietly. "Do not mistake silence for weakness. Do not mistake patience for fear. Humanity has been underestimated before, and those who did are gone." The chamber grew colder. The words hung heavy in the air. The reptilian alien scoffed, but his laughter was forced. Empty threats. The bark of a small dog. The archivist's glowing skin dimmed nervously. Strange, very strange. He speaks not like a young race. He speaks like someone who has seen too much. The hologram ended. The figure vanished. The chamber remained silent for a long time. Finally, the high speaker clicked his claws. Enough. We ignore them. Humanity will not be spoken of again. The counselors nodded, eager to return to matters of true importance. Wars, trade, alliances. To them, Earth was nothing. Just another small planet among billions. But deep in the chamber, in the shadows where no one paid attention, one old counselor did not laugh. He had lived long enough to recognize a dangerous truth when he heard it. The voice of that human still echoed in his mind. Calm, confident, deadly. It was not the voice of a diplomat. It was not the voice of a politician. It was the voice of someone who had seen the abyss and survived. The old counselor leaned back in his seat, uneasy. Who, he whispered to himself, is really speaking for humanity? The chamber of the Galactic Council returned to its usual brightness, but the silence inside it was heavy. The hologram of the human was gone. Yet the echo of his voice lingered like a shadow no light could erase. For a long moment no one spoke. It was rare for the council to be unsettled, but something about that message, it had disturbed them. Finally, the reptilian counselor broke the silence with a low growl. His golden scales shimmered under the light as his tail struck the floor. This is madness. We give these humans attention they do not deserve. They are ants crawling at our feet. Shall we bend down and listen to their cries? No. We crush them if they become a nuisance. His words were strong, but not everyone agreed. Across the table, a tall being covered in flowing silver tendrils leaned forward. Her voice was soft, yet sharp. You heard it too. Do not pretend otherwise. That man did not speak like a child. He spoke like a predator. There was weight in his tone. The reptilian hissed. Weight? Bah! Mere bravado. Young races often puff their chests. Soon they break under real pressure. But the archivist, the small glowing alien, shook his head. His yellow skin flickered dimly, a sign of unease. No, not like this. I have studied thousands of first contact messages. This one is different. They did not flatter us. They did not fear us. They demanded. And that warning at the end, it felt more like a promise. Laughter rolled around the chamber, but this time, not everyone joined. The high speaker tapped his claw gently on the table. The archivist raises a point, but we must be logical. Humanity is nothing compared to us. Their fleets are small. Their weapons are crude. Their colonies are few. If they threaten us, we can erase them in days. Yes, the reptilian snapped. A single fleet would burn their world to ash. Why waste more words? But again, the silver tendril counselor spoke. Do you not wonder why he sounded so calm? Why he dared to speak that way? That is not the voice of someone who expects defeat. That is the voice of someone who knows he holds a blade we cannot see. The chamber stirred uneasily. Aliens shifted in their seats. Some muttered quietly in their own tongues. The idea was dangerous, too dangerous to ignore. Perhaps, said a deep-voiced creature with skin like molten stone. They believe their hidden strength lies in alliance. Maybe another empire guides them. The archivist's glow brightened. No, I checked. They stand alone. No empire, no allies. Just themselves. Then perhaps, said the molten one slowly, it is not who backs them, but who leads them. The counselors turned to him, puzzled. He leaned forward. Think carefully. Did that sound like the voice of a diplomat? Or a ruler? Or even a scientist? No, it sounded like a soldier, a warrior, perhaps someone who carries more scars than we can imagine. The chamber grew quiet again. For a moment, even the reptilian counselor had no words. The high speaker clicked his claws together. Enough. You give too much weight to one man's tone. Humanity is weak. Their request is denied. The matter is closed. But before the archivist could respond, the chamber lights flickered. A second message was arriving. The counselors turned in surprise. None had expected this. Rarely did a young race dare to send more than one message. To insist a second time was almost unheard of. The hologram shimmered once again, and the same human appeared. His figure stood straight, his eyes calm, his expression firm. No fear, no hesitation. "Galactic Council," he began again. "You may choose to ignore us. You may choose to mock us. But hear me clearly. Humanity does not disappear when denied. Humanity does not stop when rejected. We endure, we adapt, and we rise." The words struck the chamber like cold iron. Some scoffed, but others leaned forward unconsciously, listening, unwilling yet unable to look away. The man continued, "You see us as weak. You see us as young. But you do not understand what we have survived. We do not beg for your seat. We offer you something greater, our hand in alliance. Deny us, and it will not be we who regret it. It will be you." The reptilian roared in anger. How dare he threaten us? How dare he? His tail slammed against the stone, shaking the chamber. "This is blasphemy. Insolence." But no one else laughed this time. The archivist's glow dimmed even further. The silver tendril counselor's voice was almost a whisper. "You feel it too, don't you? This is no empty arrogance. He knows something. He has seen something." The molten-skinned counselor rumbled like distant thunder. "I do not like this. Not at all." The high speaker raised his claw. "Control yourselves. This is only talk. Nothing more. We are the council. No young race can frighten us." But though he spoke firmly, even his eyes flickered with unease. The human hologram stared directly at them, as if he could see into the soul of every species gathered. And then he said the words that silenced even the loudest counselor. "We have faced the impossible before. We survived. If you think us unworthy, ask yourself this. Why do you still hear my voice, long after it has ended?" The hologram vanished. Silence. The chamber was full of rulers, conquerors, empires older than Earth's history itself. Yet none could deny the truth. The voice of that human lingered. It lingered in their minds, in their bones, in their fears. The reptilian growled, but his tail no longer struck the floor. The archivist's glow trembled. The silver tendril counselor closed her eyes as if remembering some old nightmare. The high speaker finally broke the silence. "Enough. We will not bend to fear. We will not honor this demand. Humanity is denied. Their voice ends here." But deep inside, not one of them believed those words. Because they all knew. The voice had not ended. It was only beginning. The chamber of the Galactic Council remained cold and heavy long after the second message ended. It was rare, so rare, for silence to linger here. Normally, after any debate, the chamber would fill with noise. Arguments, laughter, pride. But not this time. This time, every counselor felt something they had not felt in centuries. Unease. The reptilian counselor finally broke the stillness. His golden scales glowed faintly as he hissed. "I will not be shaken by the words of a child. This human speaks boldly, but boldness does not make strength. Their fleets are small, their armies laughable. We could destroy their planet in one strike." He spoke with fury, but his eyes shifted too quickly, as if trying to convince himself. The silver tendril counselor leaned forward, her long tendrils moving like soft smoke. Her voice was calm, but her words cut deep. "Then why, scaled one, do you sound afraid?" The reptilian growled, his tail hitting the stone. "I fear no insect. Yet you raise your voice," she replied smoothly. And I too felt it, that tone, that certainty. It was not a bluff. The archivist's glow flickered nervously. "I have studied countless messages from young species. Most are filled with hope, or fear, or desperation. But this was different." He did not plead for mercy. He gave a warning as though he already knew the outcome. The molten-skinned counselor rumbled deeply, his body glowing faint red. "Perhaps it is simple arrogance." "No," the archivist whispered. "Arrogance is loud. Arrogance shouts. but his voice was calm. Too calm. The counselors shifted uneasily. Each of them, in their own way, had felt it. They had faced thousands of young species, many of them eager to join the council. But this was the first time a young race spoke like this. Not as a petitioner, not as a servant, but as an equal. The High Speaker raised his claw, forcing silence again. His eyes glowed green under the chamber lights. Enough! We are rulers of this galaxy. We cannot tremble at the voice of a primitive. Their words mean nothing. But just as he spoke, a low hum filled the chamber once more. The humans had sent a third message. Gasps filled the room. No one dares send 3 messages, hissed the reptilian. They break all protocol, murmured the molten one. They do not care for our rules, whispered the archivist. The hologram appeared once again. The same human stood there. The same dark clothes, the same calm expression, the same steady eyes that seemed to pierce every soul. But this time his voice carried something sharper. Galactic Council, he said slowly, carefully. You laugh at us. You dismiss us. You think us too small to matter. But you make one mistake. You think we come here asking for permission. The chamber grew still. The man's eyes narrowed slightly. His words were simple, but each one struck like steel. Humanity does not beg. Humanity does not bow. We offer our hand, not because we need you, but because you will need us. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The reptilian counselor hissed furiously, but even he could not speak over the message. The human continued. You look at our ships and call them weak. You look at our weapons and call them crude. You look at our world and call it small. Perhaps all of this is true, but what you fail to see is this. None of these define humanity. What defines us is survival. The archivist's glow dimmed to almost nothing. His trembling hands held the record tablet tightly. The human's voice deepened. We have fought enemies that should have ended us. We have faced disasters that should have broken us. And still we rise. Each time we are struck down, we rise again. Stronger, smarter, more dangerous. The silver tendril counselor's eyes widened slightly. She whispered to herself, "This is no bluff. He has seen war." The human leaned closer, his holographic gaze sweeping across the chamber. You think yourselves eternal. You think nothing can challenge you. But know this, if humanity is ignored, if humanity is denied, then when the day comes that you face your greatest threat, and that day will come, you will wish you had stood beside us. The hologram flickered, and then it was gone. Silence swallowed the chamber. For the first time in centuries, the rulers of the galaxy had no words. The reptilian's tail twitched nervously. The molten one's glow dimmed. The archivist's body shook. Finally, the silver tendril counselor spoke. Her voice was soft, but her words were sharp as blades. We mock them because they are young. We laugh because they are small. But listen carefully. That is not the voice of a beggar. That is not the voice of a dreamer. That is the voice of someone who has looked into death and walked away. The molten-skinned counselor rumbled. No young race should speak like this. No young race should know such things. The reptilian hissed, but his voice lacked strength. Then who is he? Who truly speaks for them? The archivist's glow flickered faintly. A diplomat does not speak like that. A ruler does not speak like that. No. That was the voice of a soldier. A long silence followed. The council, for the first time, felt a shadow of fear. The High Speaker clicked his claws nervously. His voice was hard, but his eyes betrayed doubt. Enough! We cannot be swayed by words. The matter is closed. But none of them truly believed it, because deep inside, each of them knew the truth. That voice was not just a warning. It was a promise. The council chamber was restless. The human's third message had ended, but it did not leave the room. It lingered in every corner, in every mind. Even the air itself seemed heavy. The reptilian counselor tried to roar, tried to laugh, but his voice cracked. His tail tapped the floor nervously. They bluff. That is all. A desperate cry from a young species. Yet even he could not hide the unease in his tone. The silver tendril counselor raised her head. her voice low and steady. You call it a bluff because you wish it to be one. But tell me, scaled one, how many young races have ever dared to speak like this? The chamber was silent. The molten-skinned counselor rumbled, sparks glowing under his rocky skin. None. Not in all the centuries I have sat here. No race this young should carry such weight in their voice. The archivist, pale and trembling, opened his records. His glowing hands shook as he pulled up reports. I have studied humanity. Their history is strange, unusual, violent. The counselors turned toward him. The archivist rarely spoke with such gravity. He continued, they are divided among themselves. Nations against nations. Religions against religions. Yet each time they fight, they adapt. Each time they fall, they rise stronger. Their entire history is a chain of war, disaster, and survival. The silver tendril counselor's tendrils stirred in unease. Explain. The archivist's glow dimmed. On their world, they have fought wars that killed millions, again and again. They have built weapons so powerful they could end their own species. And yet, they still live. They have faced plagues, famine, natural disasters that should have broken them. But each time, they endure. The molten-skinned counselor leaned forward. Most young races die before reaching the stars. They break themselves with such violence. And yet, these humans still stand. The reptilian growled, trying to hide his unease. So what? Brutality does not make strength. Perhaps not, the archivist said softly. But survival does. The chamber grew colder. The high speaker clicked his claws impatiently. We speak too much of one species. They are nothing. But even as he spoke, his eyes betrayed doubt. The archivist lifted his tablet again. You do not understand. Humanity did not crawl into space because of peace. They reached the stars despite endless war. Their drive to survive pushed them forward. Every step of their progress is written in blood. The silver tendril counselor whispered. And this is the voice we heard. The voice of that history. The molten-skinned counselor rumbled deeply. Perhaps the question is not what they survived, but who speaks for them. This man, this representative, he does not sound like a diplomat. He speaks as one who has lived through these horrors himself. The chamber was silent again. And then, as if to answer their fears, the hologram returned. A fourth message. The same human appeared. His calm figure stood tall, his eyes burning with quiet fire. But this time, he did not speak of demands. He spoke of the past. You wish to know who we are, the man said. Then I will tell you. Humanity is not born of comfort. Humanity is forged in fire. The hologram shifted, showing images behind him, faint recordings from Earth's history. Wars fought with steel and fire. Cities burning. Armies clashing. Explosions lighting the skies. We are a species that has known war since our first dawn. The man continued. We have fought ourselves for thousands of years. We built weapons that could end all life on our world, and yet we still endure. We have been struck down countless times, and each time we rose stronger. The images grew darker. Plagues, starving children, floods and storms that destroyed entire cities. Nature tried to kill us. Disease tried to kill us. Even our own hands tried to kill us. But nothing succeeded. Because humanity does not die quietly. The silver tendril counselor shivered, her tendrils moving like restless shadows. This is their truth. The human's voice grew sharper. We are not perfect. We are not pure. But we are survivors. And survival, more than power, more than age, is the only true strength in this galaxy. You think us weak because we are young. But youth means nothing. Survival means everything. The chamber sat frozen. The images of Earth faded, leaving only the calm, steady figure of the man. The reptilian tried to laugh, but his voice failed him. The molten-skinned counselor rumbled quietly. His glow dimmed. The archivist lowered his tablet, trembling. The human leaned closer, his eyes burning into theirs. So mock us. Deny us. But remember this. When the galaxy itself trembles, when the darkness you fear most comes for you, who will stand beside you? The ones who have only known comfort, or the ones who have survived everything? The hologram ended. Silence once again filled the chamber. But this silence was not of dismissal. It was of fear. The counselors looked at each other, uneasy. The archivist's glow flickered faintly as he whispered, "They are not supposed to be here. By all logic, they should have destroyed themselves long ago. And yet, they rise." The silver tendril counselor lowered her voice. "No young species should speak like this. No young species should know such pain." The molten-skinned counselor rumbled. "Then perhaps, no ordinary human speaks for them. Perhaps this man is something else." The reptilian growled, but even he could not deny the truth now. His scales trembled. His tail no longer struck the floor. "Then who is he?" No one answered. But every counselor knew the same thing. The voice they had heard was not the voice of a diplomat. Not the voice of a politician. Not even the voice of a leader. It was the voice of a survivor of wars no one else could endure. And survivors like that were dangerous. The council chamber had grown darker with each message from humanity. The first had been ignored, the second mocked, the third unsettled them, and the fourth left a shadow that no words could erase. The council was no longer laughing. The reptilian counselor's scales, once shining proudly, now seemed dull in the pale light. His tail twitched nervously, but he said nothing. The molten-skinned counselor's glow flickered faintly, as if even the fire inside him was uneasy. The silver tendril counselor kept her eyes closed, whispering something too soft for others to hear. And the archivist, small and glowing, sat trembling with his records in hand. Finally, the high speaker rose. His tall insect-like body shimmered in green light, and his voice was sharp. "We waste time. These humans are young, unworthy, and arrogant. We end this matter now. We deny their request. The chamber is closed." But no one moved. The silver tendril counselor opened her eyes slowly. Her voice was soft, but it cut across the silence. "You can close the chamber, high speaker, but you cannot close the echo of that voice. We all still hear it." The molten-skinned counselor rumbled. "I agree. This is no ordinary message. It was no ordinary man." The reptilian hissed, though weakly. "Words are air. What is a voice compared to fleets and armies?" The archivist raised his tablet, his glow faint. "No, you are wrong. Words are not just air. Words are history, and that voice carried history inside it. That was the voice of someone who has survived the impossible." The chamber stirred again. Each counselor felt it, the weight of those words pressing on their minds. And then, without warning, the hologram returned. Fifth message. The chamber froze. The counselors stared at the glowing figure of the human, appearing once again in the center of the chamber. Calm, still, watching them with eyes that seemed to pierce through centuries. This time he spoke more slowly. "You wish to know who I am." The chamber grew colder. "I am not a diplomat. I am not a politician. I am not a ruler. My voice is not trained in speeches or crafted in courts. My voice is the voice of the battlefield." The reptilian shifted uncomfortably, his claws scraping against the stone floor. The man continued, his eyes hard. "I am a soldier. I have seen my world burn. I have fought in wars that should have ended us. I have buried friends, family, and enemies alike. My hands carry the scars of survival, and my eyes carry the memory of loss." The silver tendril counselor whispered, "A soldier. Yes, I knew it." The human's voice grew sharper, stronger. "I do not speak for humanity because I was chosen by kings or councils. I speak for humanity because I have survived what humanity is. The wars, the hunger, the despair, the endless fight to endure. I am not special. I am not greater than others. But I am proof of what we are." The hologram flickered, showing brief flashes. Battlefields, soldiers marching, cities rising from ruins. "We are fighters, not because we love war, but because we cannot allow ourselves to die. Every time the world tries to kill us, we fight back. Every time fate strikes us down, we stand again. This is humanity. This is who we are." The chamber was utterly silent. Even the reptilian counselor, who mocked the humans before, could not speak now. His golden scales twitched nervously, his mouth opening but no words leaving. The archivist whispered, almost to himself, "So it is true. It was never the voice of a ruler. It was the voice of survival itself." The human leaned closer in the hologram. His voice dropped lower, steady as stone. "You ask who speaks for humanity? It is not one man. It is not one nation. It is not one ruler. It is all of us. Every survivor, every fighter, every soul who refused to break. I am their voice because I carry their pain. I am their voice because I carry their strength." The silver tendril counselor's tendrils moved slowly, like smoke in the wind. She whispered, "He is not alone. He is the echo of millions." The human's eyes burned like fire. "So remember this. Humanity does not need your seat. Humanity does not need your protection. We offer alliance, but we do not fear rejection. Because when the day comes, and it will come, that the galaxy faces a darkness beyond your strength, it will not be your age or your power that saves you. It will be survival. And survival is what we are." The hologram faded. The chamber sat in silence, every counselor frozen. The molten-skinned counselor finally rumbled, his deep voice trembling for the first time. This is no ordinary species. This is no ordinary man." The silver tendril counselor's voice was quiet. This was not arrogance. This was truth. The reptilian finally spoke, but his voice was shaken. "Then the question remains. If he is a soldier, if he is a survivor, then why did the humans send him? Why not a diplomat? Why not a ruler?" The archivist lowered his head, his glow faint. "Because no one else could carry their history. No one else could make us feel what we just felt. Humanity sent not their leader, but their survivor." A long silence followed, and in that silence, the council understood something terrifying. Humanity had not asked for recognition. Humanity had not begged for acceptance. Humanity had sent them a warning, spoken through the voice of a man who had lived it. The silver tendril counselor whispered one final thought into the darkness. "If this is the voice of just one human, what voice will the whole of humanity carry when they rise together?" The chamber grew colder. No one laughed. No one mocked. For the first time in centuries, the council felt the weight of fear. And somewhere deep inside, they knew the galaxy had changed. The chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so silent. For centuries, this place had been filled with the voices of the galaxy's rulers, voices of arrogance, of pride, of certainty. But now, after the human's last message, the chamber felt like a tomb. No one laughed. No one mocked. Even the strongest voices struggled to speak. The reptilian counselor, once the loudest of them all, sat hunched over. His golden scales no longer glowed with confidence. His tail tapped the ground nervously, but no sound came from his mouth. The molten-skinned counselor's body glowed faintly, his deep rumble quiet as ash. "I have lived for thousands of years, and I cannot remember a time when a young species made me feel this way." The silver tendril counselor whispered, her voice soft but sharp. "It is because he did not speak as a ruler. He spoke as survival itself. And survival is a power older than all of us." The archivist's glow flickered weakly as he clutched his records. "I warned you. Their history is not ordinary. Their existence is not ordinary. Humanity should not even be here. They should have destroyed themselves long ago. And yet they rise. Again and again." The high speaker rose to his full height. His insect-like frame shimmered under the pale blue light. His claws clicked together sharply. "Enough. We are the council. We cannot be shaken by words. Humanity is young, arrogant, and dangerous. They must not sit among us." But his voice no longer carried the same power. It trembled slightly, and every counselor could hear it. The silver tendril counselor turned her glowing eyes toward him. "You call them arrogant, but perhaps it is not arrogance. Perhaps it is simply truth. You say they are dangerous. Yes, they are. And that is exactly why we should fear ignoring them." The molten-skinned counselor rumbled deeply. "She is right. Dangerous does not mean weak. Dangerous means powerful in ways we do not yet see. Tell me, High Speaker, when was the last time you felt the weight of a young race's words? The chamber fell quiet again. The High Speaker did not answer, because he could not. The archivist raised his trembling voice. Do you not see? If they can unsettle us with only one man's voice, what will happen when the whole of humanity rises together? Can we afford to ignore them? The reptilian finally hissed, his voice weak. And if we accept them, then what? Do we give them power they do not deserve? The silver tendril counselor's tendrils shifted slowly. Deserve? Power is not about what is given. Power is about what cannot be denied. Humanity has already shown us they cannot be ignored. That is power enough. The molten-skinned counselor leaned forward, his deep voice shaking the chamber. I have fought in wars older than their world. I have seen empires burn. And yet, when I heard his voice, I felt something I have not felt in ages. Fear, respect, perhaps both. If one human soldier can shake us, what army do they hold behind him? The counselors fell silent again. For the first time in centuries, they did not see humanity as insects. They saw them as something else, something they could not yet define. The High Speaker clicked his claws again, his voice louder. This is madness. We cannot let fear guide us. Humanity is young. We should ignore them. Let them scream into the void. They will fade. But even as he said it, his words rang hollow. Because no one believed humanity would fade. The silver tendril counselor leaned forward, her voice steady. No, High Speaker. Humanity will not fade. Humanity will rise. The only choice we have is whether we rise with them or against them. The archivist whispered softly, almost like a prayer. And if we rise against them, then we may fall. The molten-skinned counselor rumbled in agreement. Yes, for the first time in centuries, I see a truth we have all ignored. Strength is not age. Strength is not numbers. Strength is survival. And survival belongs to humanity. The chamber was still. The counselors looked at one another, each realizing the same truth. The galaxy had changed. Humanity had spoken, and their voice had been heard. Not the voice of kings, not the voice of rulers, but the voice of survivors. The High Speaker lowered his claws slowly. His voice was quiet now, almost broken. Then it is decided. The archivist leaned forward. Humanity. The silver tendril counselor finished the thought. They will have their place among us. And for the first time in the history of the Galactic Council, fear, not tradition, not politics, not power, decided the future. The galaxy would no longer ignore humanity. The chamber lights dimmed as the decision was recorded. The council moved on to other matters, but no one truly listened. Their thoughts lingered on the human soldier's voice, because deep down they all knew the truth. The council had not granted humanity recognition. Humanity had taken it, and the galaxy would never forget the day they learned who was speaking.